It was expected that after returning from the championship, the team would take the field at the Martínez Valero against Elche in full fighting form. But the match against Valicante only deepened Xavi's crisis, as he became completely entangled in his attempts to get the Blancos back on the right track. After the game, Xavi tried to be as positive as possible. This is football, we have to move forward. We can't be satisfied, but there are still many matches ahead. The team hasn't fallen apart, we keep fighting. We're all in the same boat. We need to turn things around, starting with Olympiacos. We want to improve, the coach said in the press room. And yes, they will have to improve a lot because in the last 3 matches, Madrid has allowed an average of 15 shots on their goal, with 5 and 7 of them on target. The team has lost its solidity and no longer wins the ball back as high up the pitch as before. And things have gotten worse in attack as well. In these 3 matches, Los Blancos have managed only 14 shots on target, whereas in the previous 4 matches, they never dropped below 10 per game. But the biggest problem is that Xavi himself seems unsure what to do with a number of players. Experiment after experiment continues, and none of them produces consistent results. Camavinga, for example, was used as an improvised right winger in the match against Barcelona. Yes, that time it worked. El Clásico was won, and the Frenchman looked pretty good. But already in the next match at Anfield against Liverpool, he played there again and suffered immensely because of it. The right flank looks like a hole that Xavi just can't seem to fill. Both Güler, Brahim and Mastantuono have already played there. And in the match against Elche, Rodrigo played. Even though Alonso seemed to support the Brazilian's desire to play on the left in his favorite position. But with Vini in the starting lineup, it's complicated. And in Alicante, the situation became even more absurd. Vinicius ended up on the bench. Rodrigo played on the right, and Fran Garcia became the left winger. On Real Madrid's television broadcast, when the starting lineup was announced, they showed a formation with 3 central defenders and 2 wingbacks. But in practice, it was the usual 4-2-3-1 that Alonso uses in Madrid, just with Fran Garcia in the role of an additional attacking player. The experiment turned out to be a failure. The fullback hardly moved forward, didn't create any danger, and didn't provide the width that XABI Alonso tries to explain as his idea at press conferences. After Elche's goal to make it 1-0, he retreated and substituted Fran for Vinicius. And the situation with Vinicius deserves a separate chapter. The Brazilian has now been left on the bench for the 4th time, and for the 3rd time in La Liga matches. He came on in the second half and got more than half an hour, but it was very difficult for him to get into the game. The relationship between him and XABI Alonso has already gone through several serious ups and downs, especially after those complaints following El Clásico, which became a central topic of discussion. Alonso is trying to lower the tension, but he still keeps getting asked about this situation again and again. He understands, he knew what role he could play. We have already done this before, for example, in the match against Getafe. Today we are not satisfied, but everyone is fired up with the desire to get back to a good run. The connection with each player is improving. We have more time, more dialogue, we are getting to know each other better. But is that really the case? There are doubts. The team does not look like the best version of itself. I don't see good interaction between Xavi and the players. That's my impression. Based on the recent matches at Anfield, at Vallecas and against Elche, he says things are already better than at the start of the Club World Cup. But the results and the game itself do not reflect that. Real Madrid isn't playing anything at all. Instead of putting Rodrigo on the left, he puts him on the right, and he doesn't do anything there either, XABI Alonso criticizes in an interview with Cadena SER. At halftime, he doesn't make a single substitution. He only makes 3 substitutions after conceding the first goal, and the team is always playing catch-up. Camavinga doesn't understand what's going on at all. Herrera has dropped his level. It's clear that the team is very far from what the club wants. The general feeling is that XABI Alonso has a problem. XABI needs to react. Vinicius instead of Rodrigo. It's obvious. Gonzalo needs to come on. He's a player, will deliver results. Besides, he played in the World Cup. If Endrick planning to loan him out, I understand why he's not playing, although I would have given him a bit more time. Put Fran on the left side of defense, give Carreras a rest, and freshen up the team a little. Overall, he has backed himself into a corner, writes journalist Xabi Arias. Journalist Marco Juan Ignacio Garcia Ochoa is even harsher in his criticism. It seems that something broke in Xavi in Madrid. The team is regressing this season, and several players no longer seem comfortable with their coach's methods. The signals coming from the locker room are not encouraging. Los Blancos started the season with promising football, but by the end of November, almost nothing remained of it. There's no trace of the suffocating pressing that was promised, nor of the fast-paced football the new coach talked about in the summer. In the match against Elche, XABI tried to reboot the team by changing the formation and the players, but the result was the same. The team is straightforward, lacking ideas, and for many minutes is completely dependent on the brilliant play of Serebia's team. Rodrigo certainly can't complain about a lack of chances given to him by XABI. The coach continues to trust him every 3 matches, but receives absolutely nothing in return for his continued trust. Another start wasted by the Brazilian. He hasn't scored since February and almost goes unnoticed in the matches, regardless of whether he starts or comes off the bench. An incredible decline for a player who not so long ago was one of the best in the world. The match left another important detail about Real. Trent completely monopolizes all set pieces when he's on the field. The English full-back takes care of everything. Free kick deliveries, crosses from the flanks and all corners from both sides. His deliveries are incredible, and XABI doesn't want to lose that. When it's Trent who handles set pieces, Madrid wins almost every aerial duel. That's how the goals came. 1-1 from Huijsen and 2-2 from Bellingham. Another thing is that as a full-back, Trent gives the team much less than Valverde does. And here's the opinion of one of AS's readers, which is quite interesting. By November, the team had become completely predictable in terms of football for their opponents, with no surprises at all. The Brazilians completely destroyed the space and influence of XABI Alonso. We will never know what a good coach he could have been, because he failed to deal with the locker room problems and does not control the players, giving in to them in everything. And I'll read out another opinion, which seems quite reasonable to me. It wouldn't hurt to give a few minutes to the guys from Castilla as well, so that the main squad doesn't relax just because they have a big name. Every match should be fought as if it were a final. Some fans already believe that Madrid needs a tougher coach. XABI doesn't control the team, he manages too softly. A club like Elche played football better and with more passion. Endrick should have been put on the right flank, and we need to go after Klopp or Tuchel. And what do you think about the current situation in our club? Write your thoughts in the comments. All of this leads us to a rather bleak picture. Real Madrid has forgotten how to win. XABI Alonso's team has failed to take all 3 points for 3 matches in a row. They've earned only 2 points out of a possible 9, which paints a bleak outlook, especially in the league that just 2 weeks ago seemed completely secure. The 5-point lead that Madrid held after their convincing win over Valencia on November 1st has practically vanished. After the draw in Vallecas, the Blancos' cushion shrank to just 3 points. Despite their victory in El Clásico at the end of October at the Bernabeu, yesterday's draw at Martínez Valero, combined with Barca's convincing win over Atletico, leaves Madrid with just a 1-point lead over the Catalans. There are still 25 rounds to go, including in particular an away match at Spotify Camp Nou, which the club recently reopened after several months of uncertainty. Madrid's poor run concerns not only La Liga. In fact, the slump began in the Champions League, specifically during the away match at Anfield. After 3 consecutive wins, Madrid fell to their knees in Liverpool's temple. The match left a much worse impression than the score suggested. The narrow 1-0 result did not at all reflect the hosts' dominance. Despite the fact that Madrid still leads the league and is in the Champions League top 8, the feeling from the team's play is not very pleasant. Even yesterday's switch to a 3-defender formation did not help to see a more organized structure capable of controlling matches. Moreover, Los Blancos were pinned to the wall in many episodes of the match against Elche, who quite deservedly took the lead twice. Jude Bellingham's goal came just in time to save the team. But the fact remains that the project no longer looks as brilliant as it did at the start of the season, when only a painful derby failure spoiled an almost perfect winning streak. But this November has been a real blow for Madrid. 3 matches without a win turn every subsequent game into a real trial. The next one is on Wednesday at the fiery Karaiskakis Stadium in Athens against Olympiacos. There is still some margin for error, but doubts about XABI Alonso's team are growing. If you want to be the first to know who Florentino Perez is already preparing as a replacement for XABI Alonso, then I have one piece of advice for you. Download the Madrid Live app. All the insider information, all the locker room news, analytics, club decisions, transfer contracts, everything appears there much faster than in the media or even here on YouTube. If something is brewing in Madrid, you'll be the first to know about it. And now, friends, if this analysis was important to you and you want more honest, sharp and emotional videos about our Real, give us a like. It helps the channel grow. Write in the comments what you think about this situation. Will XABI make it to winter? Who should lead the team? And what do you think is the biggest problem in Madrid right now? And of course, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next analyses. Things are going to get even hotter. Gala Madrid!